Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is At the Helm Sports. I'm your host, Derek Helm. Thank you for joining me for episode 186. Please be sure to follow and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave those 5-star reviews. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe down in the comments section. Let me know who's winning the Open Championship. We're diving into it. Last major of the year here. Pretty excited for it. Obviously, I've been on a little hiatus. So, hi, how are you? I know you guys missed me. Sorry for the hiatus. It's been absolute chaos. And let's be honest, the tournaments themselves have been pretty great, but the enthusiasm surrounding them prior to Sunday, not great. But we're going to get back into the swing of it. As I said, last major of the year here. So we definitely have to break this one down, and then we will definitely be back full time for football. And joining me, we had to bring him out of retirement. We have James Fitzpatrick. How we doing, Fitz?
What's good? What's good? I'm doing good.
And Dave Utnick.
Here for the last major. What's going on, boys?
Yeah, so it's funny. I actually was looking because I couldn't remember what the last show I did was. It was actually the three of us for the U.S. Open. That's how long it's been. So you guys have been on just as long a hiatus as I have.
Well, yeah, I mean, the schedule just screams hiatus. So it's good that we've got, a little warm up back into it last week and, ready to go for a major this week.
Yep. I mean, there were some fun finishes along the way, but I mean, you got Goddard up and Campbell and just a joke. Obviously, I bet Rory last week and Goddard up was not having any of that. So that was also exciting.
Yeah, no, the golf's been good. It's just been hard to get excited for it. But, it's the last major, so I am excited about this week. I'm looking forward to waking up, watching some golf Thursday through Sunday and breaking it down with you guys today.
Yeah, it's we went over our favorite majors last time, but I love this one. Just even the Scottish, I enjoyed just waking up first thing in the morning and the golf is already on. So especially at work, I sit in a loader for 10 hours straight during the day, wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's just Open Championship accents in my ear with the radio coverage all day long. So absolutely love it. But we're going to dive into this one. I mean, we might as well start right off the bat with the history. Obviously, last year we had Xander. He won at 9 under at Troon. Now, this was his second major of the year, so it was pretty impressive. And then obviously we had Brian Harman from out of nowhere, 13 under at Liverpool. Cam Smith, 20 under. Fitz, that was when we went down to Jersey to that comedy show. And we were trying to watch it, I think, at like 4 o'clock in the morning while we were still up from drinking the last night. Then went and played softball. And I'm pretty sure by the time it ended, I was in a coma. So don't really remember much of that one, but Cam Smith won at St. Andrews then. Then we had Colin Morikawa. Yeah, that was a rough night. That was a long one. And then we basically just drove from Jersey to softball and continued drinking. So, 2021 was Colin Morikawa, 15 under St. George's. That obviously was an odd one as well. And then we were here at Portrush in 2019 when Shane Lowry won 15 under. And obviously that's where we're playing this year. So as I said, last played here in 2019, Shane Lowry did win 15 under, defeated Tommy Fleetwood by 6 strokes. He shot 67 in the opening 2 rounds and then a course record 63 on Saturday, had a 4-stroke lead going into Sunday. And then we got open weather. Basically, it was rain and strong winds, pushed all the tee times up pretty early and condensed them on Sunday. Final round played extremely difficult for the bulk of the field, and basically everybody was shooting over par, and Lowry shot 1 over and got his first career major. So we're back at the scene of the crime. Now, this is the Dunluce Links, which was renovated prior to that 2019 Open Championship, but really the biggest changes there were they rerouted a couple holes. They added about 200 yards and basically the biggest change was just going from a par 72 to a par 71. It is a 7,391 yard link style par 71. Obviously we have the fescue greens. There are 2 holes with water. I've seen mixed reports on how many bunkers there are. It's listed as 62, but I've seen as low as 35. I've seen 57, but we're going to go with 62 because that was the number that I saw the most. There are 11 par fours, 4 par threes, 3 par fives. Now, off the tee, golfers are going to find a little slightly less than average size fairways. The rough is actually listed as only 2 inches, but that 2-inch rough is only 6 yards from the fairway. Anything outside of that is unclassified. So if guys are missing fairways wildly here, it is going to be an absolute crapshoot on where they end up. They could be in bushes, they could be in flowers, they could be in short rough, they could be in knee-high fescue. So definitely want to place an emphasis on accuracy off the tee here. Guys cannot go wild because there is out of bounds everywhere here as well. So not only do you have to worry about what your lie is going to be in, but if you go too far off course, you're actually OB. So a lot of trouble off the tee here. On approach, not really your typical link style. There's a lot of mounds and undulations in front of the green. So we don't see guys necessarily running it up as much as we do at normal links courses. Really got to get there through the air. These are elevated greens, tabletop greens, and they have runoff areas in the front, in the back, probably going to run off to some rough. So if they are playing firm, there's going to be some rain in the forecast, but I do still expect them to be pretty firm, and guys could be missing greens here, and around the green is going to come into play quite a bit. Once you're on the green, we have the fescue greens, which obviously we saw last week at the Scottish Open. Some guys struggled a little bit. The greens are a little bit slower there than they're used to on tour average. So 3 putts could come into play. A lot of undulations here. But basically what I'm looking at this week is accuracy off the tee, guys that can either find greens in regulation or have a strong around the green game. And then you definitely want some guys that are used to putting on these fescue greens. And obviously it's an Open Championship. So we see older guys come towards the top of the leaderboard pretty much every year, because I do think that having a history at Open Championships and link style golf actually does go quite a bit here. But Fitz, what are you looking for this week?
Yeah, you touched on a lot of it. Just it's a different style of golf, so I want good links players. Like you said, Open can kind of take some some winners out of left field. So, but I'm looking for, obviously, you want to be in play off the tee. I don't think it's like a U.S. Open where it's all distance. So just kind of accuracy off the tee, put yourself in a good spot, good approach players, and around the green, and like you said, just good Open history and links history, just because it's a different type of golf.
Yeah, Dave, anything to add?
No, you guys hit on most of it. Around the green is probably what I'm going to be looking at the most. Obviously, you want to get in greens in regulation, bogey avoidance, strokes gained majors, things like that. But you're looking for good golfers here that aren't going to crumble under the pressure of a major championship, and that can really get up and down from just off the green, because it's going to be tough to stick them.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we dive into bets, I have made 3 so far and still have plenty of room on the card to add some more. I don't really know where I want to go yet. Kind of want to look at the weather a little bit, but that's another thing we can touch on prior to hopping in the bets. Is it's an Open Championship. The weather can come out of absolutely nowhere. As of right now, it's looking like AM, PM might be the better wave, because it looks like there's going to be wind pretty much all day Thursday, a little bit of rain early on Thursday, and then Friday, as the day goes on into the afternoon, the winds die down quite a bit. But that can change within 10 minutes. So we definitely want to keep an eye on the weather as much as possible. And even if guys, right now it is an AM, PM that I keep hearing that guys want to target. But I think because of the volatility with the weather is in your DraftKings lineups, you might want to target just both waves, no matter what. And just allocate, if it does look like it's going to be AM, PM, you can make the bulk of them AM, PM, but make sure you make some PM, AM, because if everybody's wrong and everybody's going with that, then you just have a huge leg up and basically can jump to the top of these leaderboards here. So just definitely keep an eye on the weather, but don't let it be the end-all be-all from a DraftKings standpoint. From a betting standpoint, that's a different story. That's kind of why I'm waiting to fully fill out the card. But I do have confidence in the guys that I have already, regardless of the weather. First one, maybe if the winds get up a little bit, it gets a little bit concerning, but it's Hovland, 30-1. I like what I've seen out of him. Obviously, it looks like he is healthy. That was a concern last week. Around the green is always a concern, but when you're betting Victor and you're playing him for his upside, you don't care about the around the green because he is hitting every green and he is hitting a lot of putts. So I'm playing the upside there with Victor and, hoping he brings his iron game and he's sticking these greens and making his putts. And if he does that, he is absolutely going to be contending come Sunday. So I got Hovland at 30-1. Then I also took Hatton at 30-1. Just love where his game is at. Obviously, looked good at the U.S. Open. Looked like a totally different man. Wasn't screaming and cursing out his putter and saying this course is horseshit compared to what he generally does. So a little bit more reserved. Do like that. And I do think that obviously the links style course suits his game. Don't care about the weather for him. So I do like Hatton there. And then I also got Patrick Reed at 80-1. Been playing very, very good on LIV. He's actually one of the better golfers on LIV at hitting greens in regulation. We know he has a short game, so I do like that. I like the motivation for trying to make the Ryder Cup for him. I think at the number that he's at and just how well he's playing, I do think that this course fits him, so I went with him as well. And I still have room, as I said, I've been thinking about Xander since last weekend, almost bet it a couple times. Normally, when I don't do that, he does end up, whoever I do that with ends up winning, but I'm thinking about maybe a top 20 on him. The thing that keeps holding me up is no top fives yet this year. So it hasn't really been contending. So how much is that going to affect him? The fact that not just the top end finishes haven't been there, but him actually contending on a Sunday hasn't been there. So if for the first time in basically a year, he's contending at a major championship, trying to win back-to-back Open championships, it just seems a little unlikely. So that's why I think I'm leaning more towards the top 20 there with him. But Dave, do you have any bets in so far?
I do. Do want to circle back to Hovland for a minute. Bet him last week. Was feeling really good about that on Thursday, and then he kind of crumbled through. I think what you're saying about the around the green with him is enough to get off of him. Obviously, the bet's in already, but I was kind of circling around him for a while. Around the green play really just kind of pushed me off, and hasn't really been that consistent in 2025 either. Gained 7 strokes around the green at the U.S. Open, which is very uncharacteristic of him. So, if he can do that again, it's a good bet. He's going to be on the fence for me. But I've made 2 bets already. Justin Thomas at 60-1. Love the number, first off, just especially with a guy with that kind of talent. And he's a major winner. He also has the around the green game to certainly get creative and contend here. And Hideki Matsuyama, 90-1. Purely a number and talent-based play there. Major champion like Hideki should not be 90-1 at any major, regardless of which one it is. So I've got that one there with 5 places. Those are the only 2 bets that I have. I've been circling around Hatton. I can't imagine that me asking the 2 of you for reasons to not bet Bryson at 28-1, that you're going to talk me out of that one. But that's another number that I've been staring at pretty intently. Have plenty of concerns, but same concerns that we had at the Masters. And he went out there and played flawlessly. So I've been eyeing that one. It's been boosted up on 365 to 28-1, and that might end up getting my money. But right now, it's a pretty light card. Doing the same thing that you are, waiting on the weather. The weather yesterday, the weather today could change tomorrow. Can change all the way up to lock. So not exactly sure what I'm doing yet. The other name, and I've got room for it if I go to it, is Jon Rahm, 12-1. I don't necessarily like being up that high on the board, but if I'm going to, spend the rest of my card, that would be probably where I'm looking up top.
Yeah, I considered Rahm. I just don't think I could get there at the 12-1. There's just a couple guys that I like a little bit further down the board and kind of eyeing, like I said, I was eyeing Xander at 25, so double the odds there. Now, obviously, Rahm deserves to be 12-1, but I just couldn't end up getting there. I like what you said with, I looked at Justin Thomas several times, and I'm actually proud of myself because that man has taken so much of my money over the last year and a half. He slides down and you get him at a good number, and then he ends up Justin Thomasing it. And it is my concern. He does not play well at the Open Championship. He does not play well at link style courses. Even the Scottish Open, he hasn't played well at. He hasn't been good in majors lately. So I stayed away from that one. DraftKings might be a different story. If nobody's going there, I might play him, but it just scared me away from him from a betting standpoint. And I actually might be with you. Like I said, I still have plenty of room on the card. Decky at 90 just seems like an absolute auto bet, just on like you said, name alone. I mean, he's been struggling off the tee a little bit, which does concern you here, but the rest of the game is there. And if it just all comes together this week, he could absolutely win this tournament. So I do like that. And just to get it out of the way, obviously, I said at the top that I bet Rory last week, and he was right there and lost to Chris Gotterup. So generally, my tradition is I bet him last week. He did not win. Rory's winning this week. So definitely can't get there at 7-1. But
no, he's not.
And are either you going to talk me off of Bryson at 28-1?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that little nugget. I'll talk you off of him. He is a scientist. And part of the reason why people didn't think he could play the Masters well was just not being able to figure it out. Now, obviously, he's figured it out. A course that he has never really played on, link style, I don't really think is great for him. Obviously, even in benign conditions, there's going to be wind. All of those things mess up his calculations. There's mounds in the fairway. It's uneven lies. He's hitting his drives. And granted, I mean, if he chooses to club down, he's still probably way further than everybody else. But how often is Bryson really going to choose to club down? And the other thing that comes into play is if he's in 2-inch rough, or if he's in long fescue or a bush, or all of those things just do not compute. So I think the way he goes about calculating a golf course and attacking it is mitigated a little bit here.
No, I disagree. I'm not going to talk you off Bryson, Dave. I think he's probably one of the best golfers in the world right now. He's been hit or miss at the Open, but I wouldn't say that he doesn't translate or it's going to confuse him because he can't figure it out. He'll club down if he has to. As long as he's kind of straight down, he's got his approach going. He's great around the green. He can sink putts. 28-1. Got Rahm at 12-1 and Bryson at 28-1. Absolutely, I'm not talk you off Bryson. And then just to I'm on the same page with Justin Thomas. I also bet him. I know he might have a great Open history, but he's got real good form here. Good approach player, good around the green. Like you said, major winner. I could just see him kind of breaking through here. I'm betting Major Brooks 55-1 just because I gotta bet
him
Brooks
at 55.
on every major.
Go find a better number, Fitz.
Yeah,
I'm just looking. That's what he is. I didn't bet him yet. That's what I'm looking at DraftKings right now. But I'm definitely going to bet Major Brooks.
Yeah, I think I saw 85.
Okay, that's even better. But and then Sam Burns, another one I was thinking about betting. He's just kind of finally had a little breakthrough, on majors. Came through with the U.S. Open. He's another one, good approach player, good around the green. They're thinking some putts. I think just being in contention at the last major, been playing really well. I could see him kind of have a breakthrough here also.
Brooks' caddy is actually a member here as well. So,
and he, he broke in on link style courses in Europe.
Yeah.
So even more of a reason.
Listen, if you get weather and it gets difficult, the more difficult it is, the more I want Brooks. And it's a major, and he's showed a little bit of life at the last US Open. I know. Maybe I've been playing great on live, but again, major time, I'm on Brooks.
It's been a while since he's even come remotely close to a top 20 at a major. So Major Brooks has not been very major lately, but there are a couple signs, and like Dave said, the 55 wouldn't make sense at all. But if you can get him at 80, 85, why not? Same as Decky,
You said it's been a while since he was top 20 in a major. He was 12th at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, that wasn't a real 12.
Yeah, no, that was basically one round.
Well, okay. When everyone else was shit in the bed, he had a good round because it was difficult. Listen, anyone, all right.
I saw signs of life. I bet it. You talked me into it last week. You just talked me into it today. I mean, I just hit it at 85. So here we are.
There you go. Great bet.
Fair enough. And again, at the number, I don't mind it at all. I mean, think about when was the last time you could get Brooks at 80, 85? That's
US
pretty
Open.
damn good number. All right. So if we dive into the DraftKings angle of things, obviously went with a little bit of a strategy piece in the beginning there. As far as wave stacks go, I definitely think that it makes a ton of sense this week. That this is where you want to do it. It's going to get you different. The bulk of the field isn't going to do it. And if the bulk of the field does it, they're going to do it based on what the forecast is. And we already talked about that could change. So just allocate, if you're playing enough lineups, a couple lineups at least to some AM, PM, or PM, AM stacks. And if it works out, you're basically boxing out a huge portion of the field. Some other things I'm going to be doing this week is everybody is looking at accuracy and around the green here. I definitely think that you can make some lineups that cater to that. But if you wanted to just get a little different and go with some guys that bomb it and putt, who knows? Maybe everybody else is wrong. You know, we saw this 6 years ago. So the game has changed quite a bit. And maybe bombers can take advantage at this course a little bit more than they were able to in 2019. And not a lot of people are going to be going that route either. So just some quick strategy pieces there. As far as the actual player pool here, I have no idea what I'm doing yet. Basically, what this is going to be is kind of talking through these guys more so than saying, yes, play this guy, play that guy. There are some guys a little bit further down that I definitely have some conviction on that I like, but still kind of feeling out the top of this board here. So if we start with Scotty Scheffler, obviously 14,200, pretty expensive, but we have the 5K range again, so he can absolutely be fit in there. If you play Scotty, you have a little over $7,100 left in your lineups per player. If you play Rahm and Rory in the same lineup, you have $7,025. So just to put that in perspective, I don't know. Same thing that I said with Bryson. It concerns me a little bit for Scotty. And I'm kind of going to talk out of both sides of my mouth here because obviously it's Scotty Scheffler. But what we saw him at the U.S. Open in Pinehurst was not knowing where the ball was going to end up and just being slightly off the fairway and having a terrible lie or being in a native area. He gets very frustrated when that is the case, when it plays unfair. And that is open golf. And it's part of the reason why he hasn't really excelled at an Open Championship yet. So I could see it being a reason to get away from him. Now, with that being said, if 14,200 scares people off, it's Scotty fucking Scheffler, and I'm going to play him if he's going to be 20% or less. So, but I just, part of the reason why I'm thinking of not going there is I absolutely love Rory this week. Just seeing what he did last week, seeing just how he seems like he's motivated again and in a good headspace. The game is obviously there. Him and Rahm, I think, make way too much sense here, and it's going to be hard to play all three of these guys. So I think I kind of lean those two over Scotty, and then obviously we touched on Bryson. But Fitz, what are you thinking up here at the very top?
Scotty. I couldn't disagree with you more. I'm not playing Rory. If Rory wins and he burns me, good for him. But how often did that really happen? Yeah, he won the Masters. He tried very, very hard to choke that away. No one else beat him. All the pressure on Rory in his hometown, it's just, I don't know. I could just see Rory completely just choking like Rory does. Scotty Scheffler, yeah, he didn't know where the ball was going in the U.S. Open, but he still finished top 10. I mean, this just seems, he's playing better now. He's, even at 14, like you said, there's guys down in the 5K, 6K range that I could go to. So I'm going to be, no matter the ownership, I'm going to be majorly overweight on Scotty Scheffler. and very, very low on Rory. And I do like John Rahm, so I'll either be starting lineups with Scheffler or with John Rahm. From out of these three on the top, Rory. If he wins, great story, and he burns me, fine. But I've been burned too many times by Rory, and I don't see him winning and burning me here.
And just to be clear, Scotty Scheffler did not come top 10 in that U.S. Open. He was 41st. And I remember that because I had him in a best ball lineup, and that lineup was incredible, except for Scotty.
I thought you meant the last U.S. Open.
You
said Pinehurst, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Pinehurst. Yep.
Correct. All right.
Yeah. So literally, that was the one time I rely on Scotty for a lot of money, and probably his worst performance the last 3 years. That didn't work out well. Dave, what are you thinking up here?
I have the same thinking that you do about Scotty with all the commentary from Pinehurst and all that other nonsense. What's more concerning to me is where his odds are this week versus his DraftKings price. I mean, I'm seeing books boost him up. He's somewhere in like the 6-7-1 range where he was like 2-3-1. And it's such a huge difference in the DraftKings price versus his betting odds that just screams that there's something wrong with that to me. It's not.
I think it's because nobody's betting him.
Nobody's betting him, and then everyone's going to want to play him on DraftKings. I mean, I get it, but I don't know. There's something fishy about his number altogether. But like Fitz said, I mean, you look at the run he's been on; it's endless top tens. He's probably the right answer up top. But you got to pay a hefty price to get him into your DraftKings lineup with him being in the 14Ks and, the next guy up there who, I'm not huge on Rory either, but 11.5, that's a lot you can do with your lineup with that salary gap there. So I'm not exactly sure. I like John Rahm. Probably going to end up talking myself into Bryson in the rest of that 10K range, but got to see what the rest of that lineup looks like with Scotty. There are a lot of things that I don't love about him for this course, and I think as it relates to DraftKings, it's the price and what you can do with the rest of the lineup.
Yeah, and if we go into the 9K range, I don't. They did this the last time there was a 5K range too. Like, I get making a 5K range to make the top guys a little bit more palatable in your lineups, but why are you only having like 4 or 5 guys in the next range? It makes no sense. Like, keep the 9K range. All you're making everybody else cheaper, but making Scotty more expensive. It makes no fucking sense. But if we dive into this 9K range, there are some decisions to be made here because I do like Xander. Obviously, he looked pretty good last week. As I said, concerns about him being able to straight up win this thing, but I could easily see him coming top 5, top 10. 9,700 is a good price for him. Fleetwood overseas, you don't need a win from him either at 9,500. Lowry obviously won here last time, so that's in play. 9,100 for Ludwig. Probably not going to be able to get there, but you could definitely make a case for it. I don't expect him to be highly owned, and it's a guy that tends to hit the ball pretty straight. Been struggling a little bit around the greens, but if he's hitting the ball straight off the tee and hitting his irons okay, he could potentially show up here. Bobby Mack at 9K, probably going to go overlooked because it's Bobby Mack at 9K. Like, what? It's just such an odd price, but it does make sense. So you can make a case for and against a lot of these guys up here. Fitz, what do you think about the 9K range?
Yeah, no, I like all these guys in the 9K range. Like you said, you can make a case for all of them. I'll probably play a little bit of all of them. I'll probably be heaviest on Xander and Fleetwood, just because Xander's really coming into form lately, and obviously won here last year, been good in the Open. Fleetwood, same thing, great links player, great Open history. Second here last time. Lowry won here last time. Just playing pretty well. Ludwig should fit here. Like I said, might go lower owned. So, pivot a little bit there, play some Aberg. And, Bobby Mack, same thing. Won the Scottish Open before, was just right there in the mix at the U.S. Open, playing well. Overseas on the, on the links of golf, I'll play some Bobby Mack too. So I'll mix in, like I said, all these guys. I like this range.
Yeah, I like the next range too, though, but I think I'm probably not going to go Bobby Mack, probably not going to go Ludwig. And I think I'm going to skip over Lowry. We haven't seen him in a while, so maybe he's calmed down a little bit, but he was an absolute psycho the last time we saw him out there with the divot and just the media and his caddy. He basically turned into Hatton. So, a little added pressure.
Yeah, if you're playing Lowry, you're playing him just because, like I said, he won here last time and just you're hoping the good vibes bring him back because he hasn't been playing well, and I'm totally fine kind of fading Lowry.
I mean, he's been playing well this year, but it's just, I don't know. I trust Xander and Tommy a little bit more. I'd probably just rather go with those guys and then drop down and save a little bit of money in the AK range. Dave, what are you thinking?
I mean, you trust those two guys more because they're much better players. I think the class of player in the top of the 9K range versus the bottom is just way different. I think you can make the case that all these guys, Lowry, Aberg, Bobby Mack, they're all overpriced in this field. They're not that much better than the AK range that we're going to get in terms of class of player. And in some cases, they're worse of a class of player than some of these guys that are below them. But Xander and Fleetwood, I mean, Xander hasn't had it, but major champion, you feel like he can bring it all back together. And Tommy's been playing great golf. He's not going to win it for you, but we are overseas, so maybe that does help. But Tommy's been playing great golf, and Xander used to be, I mean, who would have thought he wouldn't be in that same range as, the big four come this time this year. It just shows how poorly he's been playing, but he is still that elite tier of golfer.
Yeah. And I'm glad you turned on a light. I was actually going to tell you to because there was a couple times there that I thought I was talking to a ghost.
We're working on lighting here.
But 8K range, love Hatton. And then the next couple guys, I think people are going to have a hard time getting in there. So I'd expect Hatton to be pretty highly owned because I think he's a comfortable click and people will get there. People are betting him. The sentiment on Morikawa is out the window right now. Obviously not been playing great. He won an Open Championship, but it wasn't really Open Championship conditions. So don't really know what to do there. You guys have made a case for Justin Thomas. I could make a case against him just with how poorly he's been driving the ball. But if he can club down here and actually stay in the fairway, the rest of his game absolutely could translate here. And if nobody's playing him, I'm fine going there. If the around the green game scares people off of Hovland, I'm fine going there. And then the rest of the range, I'm probably not getting on. Neiman, definitely. You would expect his game to translate to Open Championship golf, but it hasn't at all. Cantlay at 8,100 actually is kind of enticing, and maybe you can get there. He's probably a huge pivot because people don't really like him that much. And from a skill set standpoint, I could definitely see it here. He's probably going to be much lower owned than a lot of the guys in the higher 7K range, but I don't know if I'm going to end up getting there. And then Fitz, I already know you're playing Koepka, but Dave, what are you thinking in the 8K range?
I think you hit them all. Don't like rooting for Cantlay. He doesn't really win much. Game hasn't been that great recently. I mean, he's got some top 20s.
8,100. You barely need him to come top 20, though.
Yeah, but you're still looking for upside.
Yeah.
I like the Neiman play, although he doesn't seem to really fit any majors. But at his price, I do like his upside in the ceiling plays. I mean, Justin Thomas and Victor, for me, are both better bets than Draftkings plays. I think they're extremely volatile. But I do see a case for both of them. My favorite play in the range is going to be Hatton, but me and everybody else. And then, I mean, I guess I'm going to be building up top because I don't see much in this range I'm really dying to get to.
Yeah. But, I mean, you said maybe better draft or bets than Draftkings plays. I think they're both going to be pretty low owned. And, I mean, that you kind of want to embrace the volatility because their upside is as high as upside as pretty much anyone in the field. Now, do they have a low floor? Yeah, definitely. But if they're coming in at low ownership, I'm fine banking on that upside.
There's nothing worse than seeing one of your, highest price players be that guy that makes, your lineup 5 to 6 with a miscut,
yeah.
though.
Yeah, when JT goes double birdie, double.
Yeah,
but those are always fun.
And you've nailed all the 5 and 6K range, and
Yeah,
JT is sitting there as the one miscut at 8,900 or whatever it is. Yeah, I mean those hurt a little bit more.
Yep. Fitz, what do you think about the 8K range here?
Yeah, I'll be a little, selective here. You guys mentioned it. There's really nothing bad to say about Hatton. I'm gonna play, I'll eat the chalk there. I'll play Hatton. Morikawa, he should be a great play. I just don't know what's wrong with Morikawa. He's ball striking great as usual. Can't really putt, and so I'll be off Morikawa. We mentioned it, JT. I'm playing. I agree with you. As I'm going to embrace the volatility there and the high upside with Thomas and Hovland. JT does have the around the green game. As long as he can keep it in play off the tee, he's got the the short game, the approach game. Hovland, I'm not so worried about the around the green because it's not like he seems to have a lot of trouble with like the thick rough around the green. This is more, this kind of tight lie stuff, shaved down where you can just take the Texas wedge. You can kind of putt off the green, and I think. And I think if he's so good with his irons, he might not have, to rely that much on the around the green game. His ball strike is on point like it was the U.S. Open. So I like Hovland's upside. Neiman, I'll be late to that party. I've been kind of just thinking he's going to break through at every major. He's playing so great on Live, winning all these tournaments, and think he should translate to the Masters. He should translate here. He's going to win a major. He just hasn't been good in the majors, so I'm just going to be off him this time. Watch this one be the one that he breaks through, but I'll probably be off Neiman. And I already said what I had to say about Major Brooks. I'll be playing Major Brooks.
Fair enough. Now, the 7K range, I'm going to have problems because I like a whole lot of these guys, and I don't know which ones I want to go with. Henley and Fitzpatrick are clearly going to be the two most popular here. Henley could be pushing maybe even top 3 for most popular this week. Everybody just keeps rattling off his name from a betting and DraftKings standpoint. So I could see him being very popular. And I do think that there are a lot of good pivots in this range too, that you could play that are maybe because of the 5K range a bit underpriced. But Fitz, why don't you start us off with the 7K range? Anybody really stand out to you there?
Yeah, like you said, this range is really, really good. You can make a case for all these guys. It's going to kind of be, ownership and where you want to pivot. But you mentioned Headley and Fitzpatrick. They're both great plays. Both can be super popular. I could see, pivot. I'll play Spieth. Spieth has been playing okay. He's been good in the Open. He's got the around the green game. If he can get it, just stay out of trouble. I mean, he's even great out of trouble. So I'll play Spieth. Justin Rose, he's basically just playing for the majors now, and he's showing some life. You mentioned Matsuyama during the betting, good approach player around the green. He's just I know he wasn't great here last time, but I can make a case for Matsuyama. I like Sam Burns. I made my case for him during the betting segment. Straka been playing really well, just hasn't done it in majors, so I probably won't be too heavy on Straka. Ben Griffin, I also playing really, really good. You can make a case for him. I probably won't play much of him. Adam Scott, like I said, you can make a case there. Cam Young, you can make a case there. Corey Connors, great Bush player. So a lot of these guys, you mentioned Reed, a lot of these guys, you're going to have to there's decisions to be made here for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm going to end up just eating the chalk on Henley. I think Fitzpatrick's going to be popular. He's been playing very well. For some reason, hasn't really played well at Open Championships very much. So I think if he's popular, I might skip over him. Spieth, there are injury concerns, which probably keeps his ownership pretty low. But he's got that baby swag too. Just had another kid, so could go there. Magic Beans. You made the case for Rose. I do like that. I like Matsuyama. Straka, I was considering betting as well. I know a lot of people got much better numbers than what's available now, but still piquing my interest. And maybe I end up just going with a bet with him and leaving him alone in DraftKings. I think Scott is a good pivot here. I'm staying away from Cam Young and Corey Connors. I actually have some interest in Jason Day a little bit. I do think that he could play well here. Hasn't been incredible this year, but playing all right. And this is definitely a place where he could definitely show up. So I'm fine taking a chance on Day. I don't expect him to be popular. I love Reed. Fox been playing incredible golf, but again, another guy, it's just recent form versus Open Championship history, I don't know if I can get there. And then last, I'm going to play Harman. It just seems like open golf suits him. He's a guy that's going to hit it in the fairway. Hasn't really been great with the irons, though, so that concerns you a little bit. But I do think that a lot of these guys make a lot of sense here and probably going to be pretty low owned. Dave, what are you thinking?
I'm with you on eating Henley chalk. He's just playing too well. I don't think he's going to win it, but at 7,900, you don't need him to. Sepp Straka around the green play is really concerning. He's lost strokes around the green in every tournament going back to the players. So I've kind of had my fill of Sepp Straka for the year. I won't be playing him. Ben Griffin really worried me at the U.S. Open. Thought he was playing well, but didn't have, the stones to contend in the U.S. Open. Played really well. I'll probably go back there again. I like Jason Day. I'm with you there. And Patrick Reed, like you guys were saying, though, a lot of these names are, I think a lot of people like a lot of the same names. Spieth is going to be low owned. I think with the injury concern, that's enough for me to stay off of him, even with his majors record. A lot of guys out here, though, playing really good golf, and you probably make a case for a lot of them. I'll be playing Hideki. I think his around the green game is strong enough to fit this really well. But yeah, plenty of guys here. And, as we venture further and further down this list, your class of golfer gets worse and worse. So you still got plenty of talent in this range.
Yeah, and you definitely nailed it in this 6K range. Talent does fall off a little bit, but there are some guys that could make a lot of sense here. A couple guys that have some high upside. So it's going to be interesting what strategy you employ here for what reasoning you have. Like I said, I mean, you could do some skill set stacks and go with guys that are, if you just want to make an around the green lineup, maybe in the 6K range, Minwoo Lee, he makes sense at a link style course. Around the green game is definitely elite. Now, he hasn't been great outside of the win and a couple other performances, but I do think that he could potentially show up here. Spawn, great for him, U.S. Open. He's played well this year, but I just can't get there. I do think Aaron Rai makes sense here, especially, two gloves. If it's windy and rainy, he'll be fine. He's right at home there. So those are some guys I like up top. Cam Smith actually flashed on Live. Who knows what that means, if anything. Guy that sprays it off the tee, so that's a little concerning. But Fitz, what do you think about this upper 6K range?
Yeah, I think definitely should break this up between upper and mid and lower, because there's a lot of guys in the 6K range. It's crazy. But for the upper, I'm with you as far as I'm not going to play Spawn. I probably won't play him or Goddard, but I do like Minwoo Lee, just for his caliber of player around the green game. Aaron Rai, like him on this style of golf. And Cam Smith, I agree. I mean, I know he has been great and he sprays off the tee, but he's won an Open before. And if we're, focused on around the green game skill sets, I don't think there's anyone better than he is. And just right there with some Finau, I'll play Finau. I like him. He's got some good Open history. He's been playing a little bit better. At 6,800, if he was playing better, he'd be a lot higher. So at 6,800, I'll play Finau also here. And then, for the upper range is where I'm at.
Yeah, Finau played well here in 2019. He finished right behind Fleetwood. Hasn't been great this year, but I could see it in at 6,800. It makes sense. I actually like what Carlos Ortiz has been doing. Don't know if I love him here, but he does have an okay around the green game, and he's a pretty good putter, so maybe that translates, and I don't think anybody's going to be playing him. Akshay, it's just, I always play Akshay, and lately it's been very frustrating, so don't know if I can get there. And obviously we don't have Mike here, so I'm just going to bring up Sergio. Just
I was going to say, Sergio's going to hurt somebody.
Yeah, he's definitely going to hurt somebody, but I don't think it's going to be a lot of people, and it's definitely not going to be me. Dave, what are you thinking here?
I'm thinking that Keegan Bradley is a recent form versus tournament history type of argument here. He's playing great, really has been. Game seems to fit also with his short game. And then I went and looked at his Open history, and he's missed the cut at the last bunch of them. So, I don't know if he's a much better player this year than he has been in the past. And that they also don't play the Open at the same course every year. But the fact that he hasn't made a cut at any of them is a bit concerning. And I bet Tom Kim a couple weeks ago. I'm not exactly sure why.
No, I like it.
He seems
that's
to be
another guy
playing
I'm
better
considering.
also. Yeah, he didn't play. He missed the cut at last year's Open, but finished top 5 the year before?
I think he was second.
So he, there was a time where he was popping up in majors pretty consistently. If he found anything in Scotland, he could be an interesting play at this price. But he's had a god awful year, so that's a tough click.
Showed some flashes last week. I do think, he's generally very good with the irons.
Yeah, he also missed the cut at the John Deere and the Rocket Mortgage, which are big, terrible.
But
fields.
also those are also birdie fests where I think this fits him a little bit more. And the biggest thing of everything has been his putter. I mean, he's so streaky with the putter. And I do actually think that he could potentially on these slower fescue greens be a little bit more comfortable. It tends to, we say on the harder, faster lightning green that it kind of mitigates the good putters compared to the weak putters. I think the slower the greens are, it actually does the same. So if he gets comfortable early on the greens here, I do think it makes sense. And it's a guy that has flashed upside, as you said, second place in an Open. He has other good major finishes. At this price, I think it's worth a DraftKings play. And at the price, I don't know what you got him at, but I'm looking at a 140 right now where I might take him mainly because of 7 places each way. But I am actually considering that as well.
Yeah, I haven't bet him yet, but it was intriguing, and he's way down that list. And one more just from this range, Wyndham Clark, 6,700. Still going to bomb it, still going to play well around the green. Yeah, he might be a piece of shit and not invited back to Oakmont ever again, but it's a good class of golfer at this price. So he's not playing as great as you'd like him to, but he came 11th last week, 17th at the Travelers. At this price, and you look at the names around him, he is a major champion.
Yeah. Some guys lower down. I mean, the Højgaard brothers, I can just never get right. I could absolutely, though, see one of them coming top 10 this week. Good luck guessing who, but I could see it. Harry Hall, I like quite a bit. I actually expect him to not be ridiculously popular, but I definitely think some people are going to put him in some lineups here. He's been playing really good golf recently. So I do like him at 6,400. Tom McKibben. This is a guy that I don't know that he's necessarily going to get popular. 6,300. He's actually a member here. 4th and 5th in his last 2 tournaments. He has 6 top 10s this year. He's a pretty good around the green player. So I do like him quite a bit. Maybe the fact that he's a member here, maybe it plays a little bit different in a major, but the fact that he's a member here, he plays all the time, has to count for something. So I do like that quite a bit. And then Laurie Cantor, I don't mind as well. I do think that he's played pretty well this year. He's come top 3 a couple times this year. One of those was at the Bapco Energies Championship. So obviously that holds up. If he came first at the Bapco, then how could he not play well at the Open, right? 34th at the Scottish last week, previously 7th at the BMW. So some good finishes here recently. His Open Championship history, 25th, 17th the last 2 years. So not incredible, but at this price, you would be more than happy with those. So he's someone I'm considering here too. But Fitz, what are you thinking in the lower 6K range?
Yep, I'll just rattle some names that intrigue me that I'm going to play. A couple that we kind of skipped over before. Siwoo Kim, I'll play Siwoo Kim. He's playing really well lately. I can see him come through here. Daniel Berger, another one has been playing well. Should fit here. I've seen some kind of comparisons. People doing good at PGA National. He's one there. I like Berger. Ricky Fowler, good links player. Again, just dart throws down here. I can see him, even though he's been pretty bad. But I don't mind him, Benny on, and I'm gonna play DJ. I think his roles have been awful, but he should been playing well lately. Just at 6,300, it's just something that an upside play. I haven't heard of McGibbon, but you might have just sold me on him, and he's a live player, so I'm team live. I might get some McGibbon in there. Seabez, around the green game, I'll play some Seabez, and I don't know, Schmid. That's just a name I might throw a dart at. Playing well, and I think that's it.
Yeah, I do like Siwoo Kim. I honestly totally forgot that they had added him to the field. I think he's at a good price. I think this is a course that certainly fits him. So I'll definitely be playing him as well. Dave, what are you thinking down here in the low 6K range?
Thinking it's getting really thin the lower that we get down here.
No, plenty of guys.
Yeah. Nick Taylor has upside.
Yeah.
Good around the green.
I was considering betting him too.
I like him down there, especially at 6K flat. Marco Penji.
Yep.
Never heard of him until last week, but he did also come 25th at the PGA this year, so he's got that going for him at 6K.
Yeah, he's he came second last week, obviously. 11th, 21st, 25th, 28th, his last 4 starts, so not bad. He has a win back in April at the Hainan Classic. Now, I don't know, what do you guys think is more impressive, at the Hainan Classic or the Bapco Energies? Because that's a tough call.
That is tough.
Yeah. I mean, top 10 on live is probably way more important, especially in a field of 11. But no, there isn't much here. Max Grazerman's been playing pretty good golf. I've now broken down to the 5,900s, but yeah, I'm not loving this down here in the low 6s, and I'm not playing DJ at all.
I don't think I am either. He did show some flashes last week, though, but I do like Nick Taylor. I considered potentially betting him at 140 to 1. He's another one of those guys where he's been playing very well. His game looks like he could suit here, but hasn't been great at Open Championships. So I don't know. But at 6K, I definitely think it's worth taking a stab at. And then you started to dive down into the 5s. I mean, there's not a ton that I like down here. I do think that Dan Brown is actually going to get pretty popular. I think that people playing Scotty probably are going to pair him with Dan Brown quite a bit. He's an accuracy and putting guy. 10th place finish at the Open last year, so everybody's going to see that. And he literally just won the BMW International Open. So he has a win coming in, good form, good short game. And he's 5,800 to pair with Scotty. So I do think that people are definitely going to get there. Want to see what the ownership is, because I don't think that if anybody's pushing well over 10% down here, you should play them, because they are in the 5K range for a reason. Guido?
I'm sure I'm just asking a question that probably the internet can't answer for me, but how did Jason Kokrak end up in this field?
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you asked that, because I was literally thinking the same thing when I was scrolling.
Did he win a DP event?
We haven't seen him since he left.
Actually, yeah.
No, I don't even think he plays on anything other than live.
Looks like 3rd place at the International Series. When the hell was that, though? I don't know. It's a good question, Dave.
He's a name. I've heard of him.
Really thinking the same thing, man.
He's 5K.
Yeah, no, that's
he was playing well on the PGA Tour before he went for live. Like, he was kind of like an up and coming, bomber. He had some wins on the PGA Tour. He's an up and coming player, but like I said, he went to live and just completely vanished. So I did see his name when I was scrolling. I'm like, how the heck did he get in this field? Because he's never won a major, never, obviously not on the, golf rankings. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was thinking, is maybe something on the DP World Tour, but nope.
Yeah, not even a quick search can tell me how to get in there, but I'll have to look into that. He's a name. Fitz, how's he been playing on live?
Yeah, that's it, man. Team Bob, I'll play him. Let's go.
Okay. he just came top 10. couple top 27, 23rd.
No, those
He has a
aren't
couple
top
top
anything.
10s.
Yeah.
No, not really. Nothing great. Yeah,
Smash,
probably not going to get
UC.
there on him.
First major start since 2023.
Oh, question. Did I mention Chris Kirk?
No,
was
you
I
did
too
not.
busy
but
talking?
you did now. What
Yeah,
about Chris
no,
Kirk, Derek?
I do like Chris Kirk quite a bit, actually. 6,100. I think that he has been playing better golf compared to what he was earlier in the year, and I think his game could translate here. Now, Rocket Mortgage, he was second, and then he followed that up with a nice 64 at the John Deere, so that's not great. But 12th at the U.S. Open, so has some major success this year. So I do like him actually quite a bit there. But then if we dive back into the 5K range, Antoine Rosner's a guy that's been playing pretty good golf. I think you can make a case for him down here. 22nd, 73rd, 24th, 13th his last couple times out. So, I mean, not terrible. You could do worse there. Yeah, the 5K range is pretty rough. It's pretty rough here. Brian Campbell, somehow, 5,400. He hits the ball straight. I mean, if he's got wind to the face, it's probably making it a par 7 on any given hole. But I don't know. The guy's won twice. He's $5,400.
Yeah, no, this range, it's not pretty. There's some names here. If I'm gonna be playing Scotty, I'm gonna have to play some of these guys, but none of these guys are gonna be in really good form or have great history. But I'll kind of I guess just scroll and say some guys that I'm gonna be playing. I like Mackenzie Hughes here at 5,700. Guy you're talking about around the green game and been playing okay. Now you got Matthew Pavon, that's a name, not playing great, obviously. Jordan Smith, he hits it long. He's, Euro player. You mentioned older guys, Stuart Sink all the way down there. He's been,
Zach Johnson, maybe?
Just start. Yeah, Zach Johnson, Grinder, I can see that.
He played well at the Masters.
Yeah, now some of these guys are going to play well and be up there. There's no really rhyme or reason figuring out which one. Like I said, this is kind of just, you're playing Scotty and you're doing a little stars and scrub lineup. You're gonna have to play, take some dart throws down here. So,
yeah, maybe some Kevin Yu. I mean, he's a guy. And like I said, Guido, that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, I mean, I think ownership's going to condense on players that anybody has heard of. So, look into what's going on overseas and maybe you'll find something there, but I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. Romain Langescu.
I played him last year.
I played him last week, and that guy can go fuck himself. Because again,
he was good last year.
Yeah. And then last week he was doing really good, and I was in 8th place in a lineup going into Sunday. And then he shot 7 over. Because that's traditions on Sundays now. We're in contention. We're in top 10. We have to have at least one guy +5 or worse. And he took the cake last week. So thanks, bud.
You're only supposed to play him at Open Championships.
I mean,
you were a week early.
It's technically an Open Championship. It's the Scottish Open.
It's not a championship. It's just an Open.
That's where I got confused. It's no Basco Energies, I'll tell you that.
It happens to the best of us.
Ekavaria, I mean that's
he's played really well this year. Actually.
Yeah, I like him a little bit for Showdown. He has flashes where he'll just go on little streaks. He'll hit a hole in one. He'll have an eagle. He'll birdie a couple holes in a row. So I do like him. I worry about him keeping it together for the whole week. So I think I might throw him in a couple Showdowns. And then same thing, actually, if we go to just some Showdown strategy, I think some guys I'm going to target this week in Showdown is Bryson, because I could see him, especially in the first round. I think people are going to talk themselves off of him compared to what he generally has been in majors. So I don't see him being overly popular. So if you can get a ceiling round out of him, I think it makes sense, because he's a guy that I could see coming out hot and then maybe just there's some doubles lurking here or there, and maybe it hurts him in round 2, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe he comes out and he has a rough day in the wind on Thursday, and then on Friday actually ends up putting a round together. So that I do like his ceiling from a one round standpoint. I actually feel the same way about Shane Lowry too. I think that he's a great showdown player because he's a guy that can have blow up holes. Obviously, Justin Thomas fits that mold as well. Your boy Kepka actually makes sense from that standpoint. So just from showdown, those are some guys that I definitely think that you can get some ceiling rounds out of, but maybe from a standpoint of counting on them the entire week, it doesn't make sense. And then Siwoo Kim and Tom Kim would fall into that as well.
And Brooks, you want to play early because if he's, just making the cut into the weekend, he's not going low.
Yep, exactly. All right. So that was a pretty good one. Did you guys happen to see the Scotty interview?
No.
I was just I just saw the headline. I was kind of reading about it. I didn't dive in, so you can
honestly, it was one of my favorite quotes from an athlete in a long time. It was just
I heard it was good. Yeah, I just haven't
straight from his heart and just completely honest. It was heartwarming. It was basically, he said, why do I do this? Why do I want more than anything to win the Byron Nelson at my home? He's like, that was a lifelong dream. He's like, and it was awesome. I accomplished it. He goes, but it was awesome for like 2 minutes. And then it's right back to work and going. He's like, I could win the Open Championship, and it could be, oh, hey, you just won 2 majors. So do you think you're going to win the FedEx Cup? He's like, there's people that go their whole lives thinking that one thing is going to make them happy if they accomplish it or they get it, and they get there and they realize that's not it. So he was kind of just saying, it's sports are sports, and thriving for everything. It's great to have goals, because he was still, he wasn't saying it from a standpoint to where like he doesn't care anymore, kind of like what Rory was saying the other week. He was saying, he was like, I want to win. He's like, I absolutely want to win, but why do I want to win? Like, that's not what life is about. And that's what he said to him. He was like, I want to be a great golfer. I want to accomplish golf. He goes, but I want to be a great father. That is what matters. So it was more enjoy the little moments, enjoy the journey. Don't focus as much on the results. Just be in the moment and enjoy life, and find an actual reason to do what you do and try to accomplish it. So it was just a great quote. I really did like it.
No, I like that a lot. Like I said, I know he's talking about golf, but I mean, like you said, you translate that into life, period. Everything that we do, they said that you got to have a strong why, reason why you do it. And you got to enjoy life as it is. Say, oh yeah, I'll do this, I'll be happy when I make this much money, or when I do this, or I'll relax when I do this. And then you get there and it's, so yeah, it's more the journey than the destination. So I'm going to go back and listen to that because, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And just to segue there, I mean, it kind of is part of the reason why I took the hiatus from the podcast. So just anybody that has made it this long, you probably are a longtime listener, and I greatly appreciate all the support. And basically what it was is just, I want to do the best to put out a good podcast and make sure that everything is good with my course preview, my bets, everything. And I'm putting in so much time, working 50 hours a week. The way I've been working lately, I barely have time to get out and even take a piss, let alone do some research while I'm there. So I haven't been able to put in the time that I really want to. And then with my kids, there's been times where it's, hold on. Daddy's got to finish this article. Hold on. Daddy's got to do this research. Hold on. Daddy's got to make this graphic. And I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be there for my children, especially while they're younger. And now that they are in camp and I got to pick them up and do all this stuff, it's just, I'm taking a little bit of time to be a better father, at least until football starts, because that's probably when things are going to get crazy. So just wanted to say that real quick to anybody that listens. And sorry I haven't been here more recently, but we'll be back. So
well
now
said,
that the
man.
mood has
Well
totally
said.
changed, we are here for the Open Championship. It is awesome. It's going to be here before you know it. I mean, basically, we are recording this Tuesday night, and we are almost 24 hours away from it. So I am very excited. Got a couple more bets to make. Got to look at the weather and the tee times before I figure that out. But I am very excited. Dave, any final words?
Yeah, he talks a little bit about strategy and, well said before on everything else, just in terms of, enjoy the ride. It's not the destination. It's how you get there. But take a look not only at AM, PM, but microwaves.
Yep.
The way that the wind changes, not only is AM, PM or PM, AM important, but it might even be sections of, tee times that just catch the good waves. So that's something else that you can look into by playing, groups of players that are all playing together or something along those lines. So,
Good call.
last major of the year. I mean, we really don't have much golf that's that entertaining going into it. So, it's going to be a fun week for majors. Enjoy the summer while you're out there. And, as I always say out there, that, this is about having fun. We're here to provide you some information just to enjoy while you're watching golf this weekend. And, that's why we're here. So enjoy it.
Yeah. Fitz?
Yeah, no, well said. Just have fun out there. Like I said, enjoy the last major of the year because it's going to be, another year before we get another one of these. So, like I said, I'm just looking forward to waking up Thursday morning and, golf already being in, in full swing, checking the scores, putting on the TV, working in the background. And, yeah, that's that.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. Definitely excited for this one. So that's going to do it for this week. As always, thank you for listening. Greatly appreciated. If you are still listening, head over to Twitter, X, whatever you call it. Follow at Breakfast Files. Johnny Mac over there is hosting Twitter Spaces every Wednesday night. We're hopping on. It is everyone from the Mad Lab Discord. We each have our own channels there in the betting Discord, and we are doing the NFL preview. We're breaking down 2 divisions each week, every Wednesday night. So check it out. We already have the AFC East and AFC West recorded from last Wednesday, and we will be doing it again tomorrow night on Wednesday. So check that out. Check out the madlabmma.com. Obviously, a huge card coming up this week with the Poirier Holloway card. So Mad Lab will have everything you could possibly need over there. And then obviously all my open championship picks are put in the Discord the second I make them. Check out thehelmsports.com. I have my course preview up there right now, as well as everything in the My Bets tab on Wednesday night. But that's going to do it for this week. Greatly appreciated to everyone that is listening and hope we have a great Open Championship. But I am your host, Derek Helm. And remember,
Just have fun out there.